Welcome to this video about the assignment submission using the IDE. So we're going to show you the assessment architecture that we use in this course and then run through the Minisync IDE submission process. There's another video about submitting from the command line, but actually you need to watch this video first anyway. So in order to do this, we're going to assume you have the required software. So you've got the bundled installation available from minisync.org, which should have installed it in whatever kind of machine you're using. And in there, you'll find the Minisync 2.1.x compiler, which is what is actually compiling your models to the solver. And what we're going to use in the assessment infrastructure is the G-code constraint programming solver, which comes bundled with the system. So the assignments work all the same way. You're going to download a zip file which contains all the information you need for submitting the assignment, and then you're going to build some Minisync models to satisfy that assignment and test them locally. And there's data included in the zip file, so you can test out your models on that data. So then you're going to hit the submit button on the IDE, and what's going to happen there is two things. In the first case, it's just going to run locally and send off some solutions to be checked by the Coursera graders, but also later on we're going to actually send models to be run on the Coursera graders. And then that will be graded and there'll be some delay, but you can come back, look at your grades in the Coursera website and see how you went. And then you can go back, recode, improve your model in order to improve your grades. And basically you can go around this loop any number of times as long as you're only running locally. We'll talk later about model submission, and there's a limit on the number of model submissions of 10 for every assignment. So how do you get to these assignments? Well, if you go to the grades page, this is one way of getting them. You can see each of the assignments there, and there's this link here which you can click, which will take you to a page like this. And here in the instructions, it will say, okay, there'll be a zip file that you can download. So this is the zip file which contains all the information you need to do. This instructions page has a little bit about the assignment, and this bit about how to submit has got this magic token here, which will come back later to see how you use that in the submission process. So inside the zip file, this structure is always the same. There's an assignment PDF, which has detailed instructions about the assignment. Then there's a Minisync project file, and this is what you should open to start the whole process of doing the assignment on the IDE. There'll be various Minisync files, which will be basis starting points for the assignment. They may be empty. There'll be a data directory full of DZN input files for testing, and there's an underscore Coursera file, which is basically some technical infrastructure that we need to organize this submission process. And there's also a submit.py, a Python file, which allows you to do command line submission. And we'll talk more about that in the video about doing command line submission. So the PDF file will look something like this. This is the PDF for the first assignment. Instructions about what the problem is and what you actually have to do. So if we look at the directory we get out of the zip file, we can see all of these things here. There's 4 different Minisync starter files for the 4 different parts of the project. And it's this Minisync project file here, which we want to open on our system. And what that should do, if it's all set up correctly, is open all of the files of the system and the Minisync IDE and leave you in this starting position, where here we're looking at the first part of the first assignment, which in fact we've given you the entire solution to the problem. It's really for debugging the submission process yourself, and you can submit it without doing any further work. All right, so how do you submit? Well, you can run the model by hitting this run button up here, and that'll give you the results, check that the model's running. And then there's this submit to Coursera button up here, which you can start the submission process. When you hit that, it'll pop up a window and it'll ask you which of the problems you want to run and submit. So in this case, there's 4 different problems in this assignment, and you can submit any subset of them. And there's no models, and we'll come back to that a bit later. And of course, you've got to enter your Coursera email in this box here and the assignment token, and that's the one which we saw previously back on the assignment page. All right, so that's the important information you need to basically add into the IDE so that your submission can happen. But once you've done it, you can hit this remember login details and you won't have to do it again for this assignment. All right, so if we go back to this programming assignment page, you can see, well, there's the My Submission where you can see the results of your submission, but there's also this token. That's what you need to put into the box that we saw on the previous slide. All right, if we run the submission, we can come back. There may be some delay as it's being graded, and then we can look at each individual submission. So we can click on the submission, and that'll open up more details about the submission. So here we can see the 3 different parts of the 4 different parts of this project, and you can click on this Show Grader Output button, and that'll expand out. So you can see we've expanded it out for Chow Z's test, and you'll see the output that you got from the grader. In this case, everything was perfect, but if it didn't work, you'll get some detailed error messages about what went wrong with your assignment. So there are 2 kinds of submission. So in the first assignment, there's only one kind. We just submit individual solutions. There's also models we can submit. So this is where you build your model and we send the whole model to the Coursera platform where it's run on hidden data. So it's necessary to do this, otherwise you can build a model which just works on the data we're testing it on, and you're really not building a proper model if we do that. So there is a limit to how many times you can submit the models, and that's 10 times per project. All right, so you want to basically make sure that you're confident on the first part, on the solution submission part, before you start submitting a model. All right, some final remarks. All of the assignments have this very similar structure. There'll be some solution submissions, some model submissions, or a model submission. There's no penalties for model submission, so you can revise and resubmit as much as you like. The only restriction is that there are 10 model submissions, just to keep the load on the Coursera servers low. And we hope you enjoyed the assignments. They're a critical part of the learning of this subject. And remember that each assignment has a linked workshop, and many times by attacking that workshop wholeheartedly, you'll get a lot of ideas about how to tackle the assignment that's attached to it. And that brings us to the end of this video.